Hello. Welcome to another episode of Outwit Outlast, the podcast devoted to all things Survivor. Like Christian, I'm your robot host, Geoff, and this is Amanda, the non-robotic host. And together, every week, we break down all things Survivor.
Hello.
How you doing?
Doing all right. I'm trying really hard to not sound robotic now that you've dubbed me the non-robot host.
Hello, Amanda. I am Robot Geoff. I am here to break down Survivor. Wasn't that was such an odd thing for Jonathan to say?
That was
Like
Aussie,
he's
right?
wasn't it Jonathan that oh, it was Ozzy that said he was a robot?
I think so.
Well, what an odd thing to say about Christian. He's super smart, but he rarely seems robotic, although his feelings at tribal confused me. Like I think everybody didn't know quite what to make of that little mini rant. I thought he was obviously just sort of spoofing. He was doing a bit, but I don't think anybody really quite knew whether he was or wasn't, and I'm not sure if he knew if he was or wasn't. So it's
Yeah,
confusing.
I think that it was both a bit and not a bit. Like, I think he felt truly, really, really rageful, but he also understood that the way he felt was sort of absurd and dramatic, and so he sort of tried to make it into a bit, but he couldn't help it leaking through that he also really felt that way. And so I think it was really hard for everyone around him, especially Jeff Probst, it seemed, to process, like, how to respond to that confluence of, like, self-knowingness and like trying to create humor and also like really feeling like angry and upset.
Yeah, I think I realized something about Christian. The moments when he was talking to his son were so sweet to me because they felt so genuine. He wasn't
Yeah.
performing anything. He was just talking directly to, an infant, but an
Yeah.
adult. He was speaking to the grown-up child he imagined, and there was something kind of un, un, unperformative, unfiltered. I think Christian this
Yeah.
whole season has been so hyper aware of the camera and the performance and his role as a storyteller that maybe that's why so many players are having a tough time getting a read on him or not trusting him or calling him a flip
Yeah.
flopper because it's hard. Even in that tribal, I too, when I was sitting there, got a little uncomfortable. It was like Christian was feeling angry and hurt and despondent, but he
Mm-hmm.
didn't trust the genuine expression of those feelings, so he tried to turn it into a bit, but the
Yeah.
bit didn't quite land because everybody could tell he really was hurting. And so
Yeah.
it just it made me some players kind of pretend to ignore the camera, or something. And Christian always seemed to be delivering to the camera.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, I know what you mean. One thing that is interesting to me is that he never felt like he was delivering to the camera on his first season. And something he's said in
Right.
interviews is that this season he really let himself believe I can win this. Like he never really let himself believe the first season that he might win it. And this
Uh,
season he let himself believe that. And what he said in the interview with Dalton Ross was that as he was being voted out, he had to like very quickly let go of that and let it be true that someone who was left there was like it was their game now. Like it's not his game.
okay.
And I think that I wonder if part of this like letting himself believe that he was going to be the winner was him letting himself believe that he was going to be the main character of the season. And so some of the stuff that came off kind of weird or like a little
Oh,
performative was a bit him trying to create the version of the season where he was the main character. And honestly, pre-merge, Christian was the main character. And every now and then it felt a little performative, but it also felt really genuine sometimes, especially, you're right, when he was talking to his son.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think he had a really beautiful sort of thing to say at the very end of that episode to his son, which is, I wanted you to know
Yeah.
that you can try big things, and it's okay not to win because I just liked playing, and at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I really like that quality, like
Yeah.
I'm I am able to turn it over to somebody else now because I played and it was fun. And I'm done. Somebody else gets that joy. So
Yeah.
for me, a Christian, a D, those are players that I'm always going to admire because they have a kind of sense of perspective about it that I find refreshing and admirable.
This was a very Christian heavy episode. He had like
Yeah.
twice as many confessionals as anyone else this episode, and I'm really glad he did because I love him and he is a good storyteller. And he is, I think, a genuinely good person who, yeah, genuinely just loves Survivor. And I think this time he wanted to win a little more than he has in the past. Like, I guess the difference between him and Dee is that I don't think Dee ever really expected to win this season.
Yeah, probably not. I agree.
But I was glad that we got that much Christian.
Me too. Me too. Do you think Christian will ever be back for like the 60th?
I think this season we are probably saying goodbye to a lot of players. Like, I don't think we're going to see Colby again. I don't think we're going to see Coach
Right.
again. We might never see Cirie again. But Christian, this is
Oh,
only his second time playing. He has a lot of story left to tell. I can see him being like a 3-time player in the next 10 seasons. I think there are a lot of other people who haven't had a chance to come back yet, but I think he is someone that they really like and would bring back again.
well, this was a pretty full episode, don't you think?
Yeah, do you have a haiku?
Oh, no, I forgot to do a haiku. Uh,
That's okay.
did you do a haiku?
No, I sort of started playing around with one like 2 minutes before we started the call, so I could try to
Oh,
improv one,
no.
but maybe something like Geoff joins the challenge, Christian's hopes sink in the sea, he votes himself out.
Okay. That was a good one. You hit all the right notes. Here's mine. Christian on a float. Scientist can't do puzzles. He'll be a good dad.
Yeah,
There you go. It doesn't
that was a
hit
good
all of the
Christian
grace notes.
goodbye.
It's the Christian goodbye haiku. One thing that you mentioned in your haiku was one of the most fun things about this episode, which was Geoff actually doing one of the challengers. What was your takeaway from that?
I mean, I liked it. I feel like some people. I saw someone recently posting that they think Geoff wants to be the main character of the show too much, and so they think that Geoff has been kind of off for them this whole season. But I mean, Geoff kind of is the main character in a lot of ways. He's the only person that we see every season. Like, he's probably had the
Hmm.
most screen time in total on Survivor if you add it up. So I'm okay with seeing Geoff do goofy things that we haven't seen before. And I thought it was fun seeing him do this challenge. He was not that good at it. And I do think it's probably extra hard to do the challenge while you're also trying to narrate and host the challenge. Like, it seemed like there
Yeah.
wasn't really a backup plan for like who was gonna narrate who dropped out of the challenge at each step because Geoff was not doing a great job of it. But it was fun to watch. I was here for it. It was really fun to see
Yeah.
them all taking turns roasting him.
Yeah, I agree. Who do you think was the best roaster?
I think Emily was getting a lot of glee from it, which I enjoyed.
Yeah,
Rick Devens is, I think, the professional roaster, so we had that.
yeah. That side bet was a little bit stacked against them because it's so easy for one person to go out unexpectedly in that challenge. And if one
That's
person had
true.
gone out, he would have won his bet, right?
Yeah, although my qualm with this was that it wasn't really a bet because, like, they didn't have anything to lose. Like, the rice wasn't on the table to begin with. They'd win the rice if they
Yeah.
all stayed in. If one of them fell out, they'd be, like, a little embarrassed. Like, those are the stakes of that bet.
Yeah, that's true. It was really just a pretext for Geoff doing the challenge with them. And maybe they'd get rice out of it and maybe they
Yeah.
wouldn't, but yeah. Well, I thought it was a lot of fun and it gave me a new appreciation for the difficulty of that challenge.
Yeah. Hearing that Joe and David lasted a full hour after seeing Geoff last 7.5 minutes and be in that much pain did, I think, put it into perspective. Because I knew they lasted an hour, but I don't know, when you're watching it, you're like, I could last at least like 10 or 15 minutes. So, yeah, I can't believe. And David didn't even look tired on season 48 when he broke that record.
Yeah, that's true. I have a question about that challenge. It might have just been a fluke of my perception, but it seemed to me like some people didn't slip, that the rope just kind of snapped, like suddenly they didn't lose their grip. It's just that the thing just sort of snapped and fell. Is that, was I just not seeing that right? Or did they
I
lose their grip so abruptly that they didn't even know they'd lost it?
I think it's that they lose their grip abruptly, and sometimes they lose it over time and don't realize how far they've let it rotate. And so it's just sort of hanging on by a thread. So then they like shift like
Oh,
minutely and it comes off. But also, some of them, I think,
oh,
they just sort of like, I don't know if it's like sweat gets in there or something, but it does happen really quickly for some of them. Like Stephanie, I think, said she could have
yeah.
lasted a lot longer, but it just seemed like something, like, I don't think the rope broke, but I do think that, like, something about her grip changed in a very sudden way that was not necessarily because she couldn't have
Okay.
lasted longer.
Well, there was a lot of give and take this episode, a lot of maneuvering. My hot take that I know you're going to not agree with is that all three of those players that were on the chopping block deserve to be there because of their game. I think Devon's still, to the end of the episode, didn't he enjoyed the chaos and the spectacle and the fun of the fake idol more than he wanted to win.
Yeah.
So he's going to lose because of it eventually, and he's going to be okay with that. I thought that if Christian had just been quiet and not done anything, he would have survived this episode, I think. But he just had to insert himself in there. He just had to, you know, try and get in good with the people that were in the minority, and offered up his shot in the dark, and then he overthought Ozzy, and then he somehow did not nobody seems to understand that Ozzy and Cirie are partners and that Cirie is pretty loyal to her number one. And she
Yeah.
explained it really well. She's like, I like you, Christian, but you're like my number three,
Yeah.
I'm never going to choose my number three over my number one.
Mm-hmm.
And that made perfect sense to me. And I don't know how you can miss it, but they're missing it, which to me is a testimony to Cirie's game.
Yes.
I personally I love the moment when she broke down. She's got her core three, and then also the Vatu Five or whatever. And then
Uh-huh.
she's made some relationships with the old guard too. So really, everybody but who is it? Everybody but
Like
Aubrey and
Aubrey.
Tiffany. Yeah, and by the end of the episode, she and Tiffany were working together too. So I'm like, Cirie is just masterful.
Yeah. I think this is why I think you're wrong that the three of them are playing bad games and that's why they were on the block. Because I 100% agree with you that Devins is just hamming it up and at the cost of his game, which I think is hilarious and good television and I don't mind. I agree with you that Christian should have played it a little cooler, and I think that that it has to do with the sort of main character thing. Like, I think that when he sees himself as the winner a little too much, he sees himself as necessary in every situation. So he's like, I have to repair this relationship and do damage control. I have to go on the journey. He's just inserting himself where he doesn't always need to be inserted, and I think that did cost him. But I really think that the thing that got both him and Emily on the block this episode was just how good Cirie's game is. Cirie is crushing this season, and she's doing such a good job hiding her relationship with Ozzy, or at the very least, being so close in such a specific way with everyone on the island that they don't think she's closer with Ozzy than she is with them. Like, that's kind of how it feels. Like, I know that, like, on some level, Christian must know that Cirie and Ozzy are working together. I think he just thought he was working with Cirie more. You know, like, I think that he thought Ozzy was the number three. It was a mistake by Christian, yes. He pegged everything else so well. He was like, I think they all see me as a floater, which was correct. He was like, Ozzy's the real person in the middle, which was correct. And then he just made that one blunder of telling Cirie, which was a massive blunder. But I think it's not just his mistake, and Emily did the exact same thing. And it's not just Emily's mistake. I think it's also just that, like, on this season with this cast and with this Cirie, like, I think it's just hard not to make a mistake because the people around you are playing such a good game.
I agree with you about the quality of Cirie's game, but I let's move to the third player because I think we have a sharp disagreement about Emily.
No, you keep acting as if
I
I
don't
think that Emily is like the best player to ever play Survivor, and I don't.
I am less I do believe that she is playing a smarter game than we're getting than the edit is giving it credit for, but I don't think it's that smart. I don't think that she is perceiving the players around her very well. I don't think that she's honoring relationships the way that she should. Ozzy was clearly an ally that she just threw away, for no particularly good reason. That to me is a blunder that I think is going to cost her.
Yeah, I agree that she shouldn't have thrown Ozzy under the bus. I think she should have targeted someone that would be more palatable to Cirie, and she should have recognized who Cirie would or wouldn't want to work with. And I guess she also shouldn't have told Cirie how to cook rice, but don't know how much
Oh,
that
I
played a role.
know.
But what I will say, because I do like to defend Emily, although just to be clear, I agree, she's made a lot of mistakes. There are a lot of people playing the game a lot better than her this season. But you
Yeah.
said an episode or two ago that no one would tell Emily anything anymore because she'd let things slip. And I just want to point out that Rick immediately at the beginning of this episode told Emily that the idol was fake. And she's the only person left in the
Yeah.
game now who knows. So people are still telling Emily stuff.
No. Cirie knows.
What?
Emily told Cirie.
When?
Cirie said Devons is idle, not idle. She knows that it's a fake.
Wait, when did Emily tell her?
I don't know. We didn't see that on camera. Somebody told Cirie.
How do you know?
I'm just assuming it's Emily because Emily
Oh,
cannot keep a secret.
no, I don't know. You don't think that Cirie just clocked that it seemed fake? I'm shocked that everybody else believes it's real.
I am too. I don't understand the thinking behind that. And I I I don't know why he persists in this charade that it's a real idol.
No, it seems like it would be
Like, why
better for
don't you
him if
just tell
everyone knew it
people?
was fake.
Yes, because then he wouldn't get all of the "we got to vote the idol out" votes. People would still vote for him because they're annoyed at what he did. It
Yeah,
was so showy, but that's the thing they don't like. It was too showy,
yeah. It's a little bit always
you
about
know?
camera time with them. The same way that Ozzy wanted to keep
Yeah,
Mike in the game because he wanted to be on the White Lotus, people don't want Rick in the game anymore because Rick is going to start throwing the game into chaos unexpectedly, which is hard for them to process as players. And also, he's going to be a little bit of a
yeah,
camera hog for the rest of the season as long as he's there. And they don't want
yeah.
that.
That's that's true. I have no reason to think that no matter what the coming attractions suggest, I'm sure that Devon's will try to throw it into chaos. And who is he working with that?
Emily.
Aubrey or
Emily.
Emily? Yeah.
I think Aubrey has fully distanced herself from that train wreck.
I'm very curious about how it is that Jonathan, Joe, and Stephanie's are should be playing from the bottom and had that stance at the start of the episode, but by the end of the episode, they're not playing from the bottom anymore. I think the middle just kind of ceded power.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the actual middle ceded power because I think the actual middle
Yeah.
is Cirie, Rizzo, and Ozzy, and I think they are very
Yeah.
carefully positioning themselves so that this pendulum of power can kind of swing around them and they can miss it. And we'll see how long that lasts, but I think for right now, we're in a game where the power is going to swing back and forth. So, like, the people who are on the bottom one episode are going to be sort of suddenly in power again the next episode.
Yeah.
But next episode, I don't know if Rick and Emily are going to manage to have power because they might cause enough chaos that people want to continue to take them out until they really have no power. But we'll see.
Here's what were
Um,
you going to say about Christian's journey?
Yeah, we've sort of danced around the journey, but we haven't actually talked about it. He went out there, lost the puzzle. The one in the urn advantage idea I thought was interesting. It was
Oh yeah.
basically you write down the name of the person you want to vote out while you're on the journey, and it's an extra vote for that person. Which I think is
Yeah.
fascinating and complicated because you might write down a person, but back on the beach, the tides are shifting and there's nothing you can do about it. Like that name's going to come up. So I think that's a really interesting advantage that could be an advantage, but isn't a great one. But I think the fact that it's not a
Yeah.
great advantage, the potential punishment, like the risk there, so unwarrantedly bad. Because it would be, the
Yeah.
risk was that you have to take this letter and read out in front of everyone with no doubt that you are writing down your own name tonight. And I
Yeah.
don't hate any of those components individually. The letter and the mystery of it and the suspense and the him reading it in front of everyone, that was fun to watch and interesting. And separately, writing down your own name is an incredibly cruel twist that has a lot of humor in it, and I also don't mind that. But both of them together is just like a death warrant. Like it
Yeah.
just feels
The
unfair.
reward the reward is certainly not worth the risk.
No.
I think. I agree with you.
Because it's so hard to put
Yeah.
a huge target on your back, make it very clear that you don't really matter in the conversations of the night because you can't vote for anyone except for yourself. There's already a vote on you. It makes it so easy for people to just vote you out. And nobody who is in a super secure position should be going on a journey unless they're trying really hard to stop someone else from going on a journey. So I think that that's an incredibly
I
cruel twist to give to someone who is probably in a shaky position in the game anyways.
Yeah, that's it's I mean, he volunteered for it.
No, he did, but he volunteered because I
Most
think he
people
knew he was in a bit of a bad position, or because he thought he
oh,
was the main character. I don't know, but
the main character theory is an interesting one. I got to think about that. I wonder how many players play that way without us sort of knowing it.
Yeah.
I guess maybe every player sort of has to believe that that's true. Like Rizzo
Maybe they all
certainly. Oh,
do.
you know what? I think Rizzo believes that it's true. And you know who's getting an interesting, uh, not edit really, because he doesn't crop up that much in confessional, but Rizzo. Like all the attention went on Ozzy playing the middle with an idol.
Yeah.
But nobody's talking about Rizzo's idol and him playing the middle.
I
You know,
think
like what is up with this kid?
I don't think they know that he's playing the middle because I don't think they know that he's working with Ozzy and Cirie. I think they think of him sort of like, or a lot of the people on the beach think of him sort of like Tiffany, where he's like kind of on an island by himself and doesn't have a lot of allies. So they know he's got an idol, but they're not super worried about
Ah,
it. I'm just surprised that doesn't make him a bigger target. I wonder if more people on the beach than we're seeing like think that theoretically they could work with Rizzo where they like don't feel that way about say Aubrey whose idol made her like a huge target for some reason.
yeah, right. I know. Like Rizzo's like, oh, we can take him to the end. We'll beat him or
Yeah,
something. Do you think they think of him as a goat? Like
maybe. Maybe
that's
because
interesting.
I do keep finding myself thinking like if Rizzo makes it to the end with Ozzy and Cirie, or honestly Ozzy or Cirie, he's not gonna win. Like, who's gonna choose the kid who just came off of season 49 over like a legend of the game?
Right.
So I wonder if a lot of them are thinking
Well,
that. Like, this is just some kid,
we're,
so kind
yeah,
of a goat. Which is I think wrong. Like I think he's playing a really good game.
me too. Uh, really good game. And I don't think he's getting the edit for a really good game, but I feel like he and Suri both are playing a great game and not getting all that much camera time, you know?
Yeah, Rizzo's getting a decent
So,
edit. For what it's worth, Rizzo and Cirie are, I think, at a similar amount of camera time, which I agree is not as
okay.
much as Christian, although now Christian is gone, so that will free up a lot of time. It's not as much as Ozzy, which is so baffling to me because it seems like Rizzo and Cirie are playing much better games than Ozzy. Like they're sort of like carrying Ozzy along. And Ozzy is doing a good job like playing his role in that alliance. And it was so funny to watch Cirie like coaching Ozzy. She's so good because she's coaching him and she's right. She's like, fix the smile a little, don't look. But like she does it
I
in a way where
know.
he doesn't feel talked down to, it seems.
Jonathan, don't lick your teeth like that the way you do. You
They
know,
just
don't,
listen to her.
yeah, they do. She's right.
Yeah.
Hey, I just had a different thought about this that probably you have been thinking a lot, but does it change your thinking about the edit to know that some players get a really prominent edit because they're going home in a big way?
Yeah.
Not because they're favored, but because Christian's getting a big edit because he's going to go home in a big way. Coach got a big edit because Coach went home in a pretty big way, you know?
Something that I think happens on Survivor is that there's like a villain edit, not in like a this is a bad person who's mean to people way, but in like a this person needs to go home in a dramatic way for the person who will eventually win to make it there. So like someone very
Yeah,
big takes out someone who's had a very prominent edit, and that makes them impressive and notable.
yeah.
And I've been trying to figure out if that's what's happening this season. Like Christian got a huge edit, which makes me wonder if the person that we should credit with taking Christian out then goes on to win. Because taking Christian out should seem like a big deal.
Who took him out?
Maybe Ozzy is the one who gets that credit because they have set up an edit with an
Ooh,
Ozzy Christian rivalry. In my opinion, I think that
that's
Cirie
true.
probably once again gets the credit for it. Because
Yes,
if Christian hadn't
yes.
come to her with the information about wanting to vote out Ozzy, I don't think they would have pulled together the votes for Christian, and I don't think that Cirie would have wanted to vote Christian out, but because he came to her with that, she wanted to vote him out, and she did. So in my mind, it's Cirie. But the way the edit works, I think they're giving Jonathan a bit of credit. They gave a lot of credence to the shot in the dark thing, even though Christian rightly pointed out that it did not matter for him to give that shot in the dark to Jonathan
Yeah.
because he couldn't have used it anyways. Um,
So you think that Jonathan and Ozzy are getting the credit edit, but Cirie is also getting a semi-credit edit.
yeah.
You just he's not claiming the credit on camera, but the camera
I
is giving us enough information to see that she deserves the credit.
I'm not sure. I think it's possible
Hmm.
that she's not claiming the credit out loud. I think it's more possible that for some reason the edit isn't giving her as much credit as it should, but as a viewer, it's impossible not to notice that she is the crux of the situation. Because all the information goes through her. So, like, they need to edit her in to these conversations because she's the one that the information came through. So, it's very hard for me to tell. And I mean, it's always like speculation with the edit. Like, we don't see the raw footage, but I think it's possible that the edit is kind of trying to play Cirie's role down and they just can't because it was so big and so obvious. It's also possible that Cirie is a
Yeah.
little more humble and a little bit less like, I'm going to target this person now in the confessionals. Like, that's maybe never quite been the
Yeah.
confessionalist that she is. Whereas Ozzy was like, I never trusted you, Christian. You're a robot. Let's vote you out.
Well, they they did give Cirie a moment when she said, if Emily tells me how to cook rice one more time, I'm going to vote her out. And then she almost did.
Which, by the way, I think is another point towards this is a bad edit for Emily. Because they didn't
Yeah.
have to keep that in, and there's no way that's the only time they've bickered about something silly and then said something funny about it in a confessional. So the fact that that's the one they left in, like, I do think the editors are trying to make Emily the butt of a lot of jokes this season.
Emily doesn't have a great, it has never been great at reading the room,
No, that's
you know?
true.
So
um,
maybe that's the one takeaway from all of the stuff because she does have a good strategic mind.
yeah.
She has really learned a lot about herself and how to play,
And she's
but
built
she's
really
not
good
very good.
relationships with people. Like Christian said in his exit interview,
Yeah.
Emily built really strong relationships that you're not seeing effectively on camera. So I do think all that's true. I also think
Yeah.
it's true that she does not necessarily know when to not say something.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's true.
Yeah.
Um, well, that's a big part of but that's one of the reasons I really like Emily too, you know?
Yeah.
So,
She's not filtering herself
so
for the
that's
camera a little bit.
right. No, not at all. Cirie is always kind of savvy about the camera, you know? Like she knows when the camera is going to pan to her for an expression, I think, or else she's just got really great expressions. Like the moment when, boy, at Tribal, her face got really, like she was just barely holding her feelings in check when somebody said something annoying to her. But anyway, I just underscored for me how patient Cirie's game is, you know,
Yeah.
how carefully she's working these relationships. I I think this is a good moment to end with where do we think it's going to go? I feel like there are three factions on the beach still.
Yeah. Although I
There's the old
think
guard.
that as Cirie's group chips away at these factions, I think it's becoming a little bit less clear. I agree with you. There's the old guard, as you're calling it. There's the former middle, which is now, I think, just Emily and Rick. Because Aubrey's totally distanced herself. So for me, there's also Aubrey and Tiffany who are sort of on their own. And then there's
Yeah,
Cirie's polyamorous relationship.
yeah,
And I do worry that it will become too apparent that Cirie is running things at some point. Um,
yeah.
so that makes me nervous. But God, I want her to win so bad. And that's like all I can
I'm
think
starting to
about.
wonder. I'm starting to wonder if it isn't going to be one of those things where one person from each faction is going to wind up making it, you know. One or two of the other players are going to get chipped away, and that last person is going to make a strategic alliance with one of the other groups and stay in. So you're going to get an old guard person, you're going to get one of the poly, but not all of them. You're going to get one person from the middle, you know, for the final three, I guess, right?
It's either going to be that, which seems likely to me, or it's genuinely going to be that Cirie's 3-person alliance just flies under the radar and like 2 of them make it to the end. I kind of can't believe that the 3 of them will be the final 3, but it would be so nice.
That would be great. That would be great. I would love to see that trio stay just the same way that I wanted Camilla and Kyle to go all the way to the end.
Yeah.
That alliance that nobody clocked, you know, nobody figured them out.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want nobody to figure out Cirie, Ozzy, and Rizzo.
So much more impressive to do that on a returning player season. I mean, no one could have predicted that Cirie and Rizzo would be working together, so that's an easy one to hide. But Cirie and Ozzy, I feel like someone should have seen coming. I'm a little worried that Jonathan's going to make it.
Jonathan is in a weirdly solid place right now. He's friends with Ozzy. Aubrey has made some overtures
Weirdly.
there, or I don't know. I think it's smart. I think if Aubrey could crack the Cirie group, she would.
Yeah.
But the other group is feeling vulnerable. She saw it. They need numbers. They need a friend. They need allies. I can be that or pretend to be that and get some power.
Yeah.
I think it's a smart move.
It's kind of the only thing we've like seen Aubrey do this season. But I do think it was a smart thing. Yeah. I think it makes me nervous that Jonathan's going to last to the end. And it would be fine if he did. I don't know why quite I'm so anti-Jonathan. But it makes me nervous that he's not on camera that much. He doesn't get that many confessionals. But whenever he's on camera, it's about strategy. Like all of besides when Coach got the cramp in the ocean. Like it's always strategy with Jonathan.
Oh, yeah. And I must say, too, it's a little bit of sort of villain edit strategy. The notches on the belt. Confessional.
That's true.
I think they're setting him up as the villain.
Maybe Jonathan is getting that sort of villain edit that I was talking about. Because something I was going to say about it was that I thought maybe they were trying to credit someone important with Christian's ousting, but I'm actually not sure that Christian was getting that edit because he was kind of dropping out of the edit leading up to his exit episode. Like, he got a huge edit this one episode, and he got a huge edit pre-merge, but he was central, like, indisputably central to the action pre-merge, and indisputably central to the action this episode, and less so the last couple episodes, and we really haven't seen him. So I do wonder if there's still someone left in the edit who's getting a pretty prominent edit so that we can see someone we really like take them out. And I do think it's possible that's Jonathan.
That could be. Well, this is great speculation. I'm looking forward to the next episode even more than this one because it is the wide open game that we were hoping for.
Yeah. I think it's going to continue to be. I really can't
tell who's got power. I know who I think has power, but it does seem like there are quite a few factions that could maneuver pretty well.
As Cirie said, people are unpredictable. And Emily and Rick are, I hope, about to be so unpredictable.
Well, my dog thinks that I've been unpredictably keeping him from a walk. So I think I'm going to have to say goodnight and take him for what I hope is a very productive walk.
Well, it was great to talk to you. It was great to see you, Reggie.
Yes.
Thank you to everyone who's listening and watching. We hope you'll join us again next week. Bye.
Goodbye. I love you.
Love you too.